this much. Playing so All in One Stories here. Yes, I changed my name. I said that in the other series, but if you only watch this one, I went from Crooked God Slayer to All in One Stories, and I think it actually fits me better. I hope it fits me better. I hope you guys enjoy this name. And so yeah, back to the series. So last time I left off as Deku and his sister Insho actually getting into UA, and how Bakugo actually is fixing himself, and he is kind of still like explosive and aggressive, but he's a little bit more compassionate, and he puts in others first most of the time. So back to now Deku goes to school. I mean, Deku is going to UA with his sister Insho and Bakugo. They all get there at the same time. And before I actually get into the series... No, wait, I'm going to do that a little bit later. So, now they go inside as they all complaining about how the door is so big. Or, not complain, comment. They go inside the classroom to see Ida there, kind of saying hi to the class. They're a little bit confused on what Ida's doing. So, they walk in and Deku just sits down. Bakugo sits down next to him, and so does Isho. Ida comes and asks him, why did you three come inside the class all at the same time? And Deku is just like, oh, this is my sister, and he's just my best friend. Bakugo's just like, best friend? Thank you. I didn't know you thought of me that way. And it's like, of course, Bakugo. You've been there for me for the past 10 months. Why wouldn't you be my best friend? So, what's it called? Oh yeah. So, Uraraka comes into the room, and oh my god, I said she. She thanks Deku about how she saved him, and she also thanks Isho. I can't exactly remember how it went down in the sports thing, not the entrance exam. So I'm just gonna say that Insho was there to help Deku. I can't remember. I'll probably remember the next thing. So Mr. Aizawa walks into the room, and Insho, Deku, and Bakugo, the only three kids in the room that actually know who he is, jump up, and all three of them yell at the same time, "What are you doing here?" Mr. Aizawa just sits down and goes, "It was a coincidence that you three got into my class, and I'm a teacher at UA. You guys know that. I'm a first-year teacher at UA, and you guys know that." It's like, we're not complaining, but we were kind of not expecting you to be our teacher. It's like, they thought it was best. I know you three better than almost anyone. And everyone's confused on how they know this guy. And he goes, oh, Mr. Aizawa's my teacher. Mr. Aizawa's my mentor. And he's also our mentor, too, says Insho. And, yeah, that happens. So everybody is now confused, is now asking, who is this guy? And he goes, he's a racerhead. He's a professional, he's a pro hero. The press doesn't know about him because he tries his best to keep it that way. And they ask Deku, what's his quirk? And it's just like, that's him to say, not me. What is that? Oh, well, Deku sits back down again. And eventually, so does Insho. And what's his name? Bakugo. I did that same thing in the last video I made too. I forgot his name. So, actually, I'm switching Insho with one of the UA characters, so there's not like 11 characters inside. What the was that? Okay, so there's not 11 people inside the class. There's just one missing. And I'm gonna say Kenichi. Kaminari is the fails because they had to pick between Kaminari and actually no, he doesn't fail. He's in class 1B. So yeah, they had to pick between Insho and Kaminari, and they obviously pick Insho because she has more control over quirk, it's much more potent, and she doesn't become stupid when she uses it. So yeah, they picked her over Kaminari, but Kaminari still passed. So what the literal? Oh, my bad. What was that? Oh my God! Would you please stop? What the literal? Okay. I'm gonna have to go and check what that is later. But also 1 second, I'm gonna pause. Okay, so back. Ooh, so what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, Kaminari's in class 1B and not in class 1A. And I'm just gonna say class 1B actually does have 11 students. Just because I don't want to remove anyone. So Mr. Aizawa says, put on. Go fuck yourself. So Mr. Aizawa goes and he says, how do I say this? Mr. Aizawa says, put on your sports uniforms, and we're going outside. We're not going to the ceremony. And Deku's just like, classic Mr. Aizawa. Everyone's confused on what's happening, and he goes, he's gonna go and test our quirks. We're doing a quirk assessment test. And they're all like, but aren't we, are you not listening to him? We're not going to the ceremony. That's not really his type. And Mr. Aizawa was just sitting there, and everyone is there. Everyone that's there is actually kind of relaxed, chilling. They're gonna think this is a little bit fun. And Mr. Aizawa goes, so you guys think this is a game? Whoever gets last place is expelled. And everyone looks to Deku, Insho, and Bakugo. And they're all looking at him to just like with their eyes, is just like, their eyes are kind of asking, is he serious? And Deku just chuckles and goes, oh heck yeah, he is serious. You think he won't expel you? Think again. And now everyone's super worried. So they go through their things, and everything's pretty normal. Deku gets a little bit higher than what he did, so he's definitely not going to be in last place, but he's not going to get super high either, because he's not using his scarf or anything. So I'm going to say he gets like 5th place in all of them. Bakugo's just over here destroying them. Destroying it. Because he's not going to use as someone commented, the dollar store version of the 8 gates. That made me laugh. So, yeah, he's not going to use the 4 gears, because it's just like, is he really going to break apart his body? And Mr. Aizawa was like, are you sure you're going to do this? I already know what you're capable of, Izuku. He's like, but they don't, so, yeah. So Izuku's just testing out Izuku's just going through one by one, then the ball throw comes. And he's like, I might as well get a good score. Well, in this one, he is actually going to use his dollar store version of the 8 gates, or I'm just going to call them 4th gears. And he's going to use them. And just because Bakugo was like, you'll never be, even if you used your ability, you won't be able to beat me. But Deku took it as like, is that a challenge? And he's like, of course it is. So Deku is trying to get 1st place in this. And so he kind of has to defeat infinity. And some of you may be thinking that's impossible. And Deku's just like, how would I get infinity without a, oh my god, that's a massive pile of shit that I almost stepped on. Please don't tell me please tell me I didn't step on that. I didn't. Thank God. Okay, so he's thinking, how would I get that ball? How can I stop the ball from falling down? And he goes, oh yeah, there's no gravity in space. And he says this out loud. And everyone's like, is he gonna try and get it to space? Deku smiles. Gear 2 shouldn't be enough to get it from down here. So why don't I get to this space? Why don't I get as close as possible? Deku is saying this out loud, and Aizawa passes him the ball. Hey, Sensei Aizawa, is it okay if yes, you can use it? Just make sure you don't go past second. He goes, oh, okay, thank you. So Deku goes into first gear, and he jumps in the air. And Deku knows he's gonna be training his body a little bit, so he's not gonna actually overwork it. So he first goes to first gear, and he jumps in the air, and he sends a couple air pressure punches down to the floor. So he's like 50 feet in the air now, and he drops the ball, and before it goes farther below his feet, he goes to kick it. And then he goes second gear. Then, with a sudden rush of power, because of the ATP effect the body gets when when Deku goes into second, there's like an energy wave that flies off, that comes off of him when he activates it. So that propelled the ball like 40 feet upwards. No, I mean, not 40 feet, 40 meters upwards. Or that would have if that's what he would have stopped. But with Deku's sudden rush of power, boom, he kicked it. And Deku knew that it was not going to go all the way up. That's why he's not done. As he's falling down, he prepares his both of his hands and he claps them together, creating a massive shock wave. So when the ball stops, the shock wave is just going to propel it upwards. Then he starts to fall really fast and he goes, oh, okay, I was not planning on this. So he just does a black flip and he lands on his feet. Because in his second gear, he doesn't hurt as much. And once he gets off his second gear, he falls on one knee because of the effects of second gear. And he goes, please tell me I didn't do all that in vain. Mr. Aizawa goes, Jesus, I knew you were gonna go far, and I expected you to beat Bakugo, but I didn't expect you to beat Uraraka. He says, as he shows, the thing that says Infinity Plus. Everyone is screaming at Deku, how the hell do you get Infinity Plus? Well, he gets Infinity when he gets it into space, because it's never coming back down. But then he also gets Infinity Plus because he got it farther than Uraraka. So that means he beat her. Even if it was like by an inch, he still beat her. And he wins. He gets like fourth place. Because remember, he got 5th place in almost everything. And then he, out of nowhere, gets like first place in what would have been the hardest to beat, or like literally the most impossible to beat, and he beats it. And everyone's just like, why couldn't you do that for all the others? You could have easily won. And it's just like, I don't feel like using this power. It hurts. And so, Magneta gets expelled. Magneta gets expelled. Magneta is crying on the floor. When Deku goes to him and he goes, there. But what he doesn't show to everyone is that he put in a dress into Magneta's hair. So when Magneta's leaving, very sad that he failed. And then he touches his hair and he sees there's a card in his hair. He pulls out the card and it says, "There is no way in this world that I'm letting you not be a hero." And essentially goes on to say that if you come to this place every Thursday and Tuesday, I will train you to become a more powerful person. And Deku and Mr. Aizawa doesn't say expelled. He just says you're out of here. So he says that because he knows Deku's gonna do something like this, and then that Maneta's gonna become crazy strong. Not crazy strong, but just strong, and that he's gonna allow Maneta to come back. Hopefully. Maybe if I decide. Oh my God, I did it again. Maybe if it decides he wants to. So yeah, Deku, he does that for Maneta because he's a nice guy and he feels bad. So what else? Oh yeah, back to Deku and Maneta. No, back to the other guys. Now, how long has this been? There's no way I put all that in 60 minutes. Jesus, I ramble a lot. Now we're gonna do the hero versus villain. Come back to my hands, thank you. Okay, so, hero versus villain test, I think it was. Exam. And All Might's there. And he picks the teams and everything. He explains how the thing goes. Ooh. I haven't explained Deku's hero suit, have I? Yeah, I can't remember, so I'm just gonna explain it again. So Deku is wearing a green muscle shirt with bandages at his hands. He's wearing a green sleeveless hoodie that reaches him down to like half his torso. So you can tell it's small. And then he's also wearing goggles like Mr. Aizawa around his neck. And he also has the scarf on his shoulders and his neck. Then he has blue pants, bandages at like his chin and his calf, I think it is. But yeah, right around there. Then he has skinny red and white shoes. So it's not like he's completely 100% like Mr. Aizawa, but he's similar to it. And Deku has some shurikens as support, as well as caltrops, and a kunai. And then he also has his cloth, which is probably going to be his main weapon. His capture cloth. Yeah, his capture cloth, which is probably going to be his main weapon. So Deku's just ready to go. And everyone's looking at Deku like he is a lot like his father, like his mentor. I said father, my bad. But Deku is basically, Mr. Aizawa is basically Deku's father figure. Back to the story. So, yeah, he looks a lot like Eraserhead to them because he has greenish black hair that is long. And he's growing a beard and a mustache. I'm just gonna put that just because, but it's like super small, so you can't really see it. So, and he wears his hair back and he ties it up when he's not fighting, and he'll release it just when he'll tie it up when he's serious, but it's just loose all the time. So, Deku and Uraraka get paired up. And Deku has never really actually talked to girls except his sister and his mom. Other than that, he's pretty much been seen as the quirkless kid that you should never hang around with because he's weak, which was bull. And yeah, so he cannot get flustered if any girl was in front of his face. Just saying. Also, so him and Uraraka versus and Ida. Bakugo's calm, so he's obviously not gonna charge, and he knows that if he did do that, he'd be screwed. So he's just like, we should stick together. Why do you say that? Because the type of fighter Deku is he's a one-on-one type fighter. So if he's able to separate us, we're done there. We're donezo. So Deku goes in, and with what's her name? Uraraka. And they're there, they're just walking around and being careful. So Deku's just going around building to building and wearing his goggles. And the reason he wears goggles is because, oh, and they're green, by the way. And the reason he wears goggles like Mr. Aizawa, is because of the patterns he sees. Because he sees patterns, everyone can predict what patterns he's memorizing by what his eyes are doing. So he covered his eyes, because like his eyes are kind of what switches where his targets are going to be at. And that's basically why he wears goggles. So he's going around, and what nobody really realizes is that Deku's dropping something as he stops. Yep, he's dropping cameras, or he's placing them on walls. And Uraraka notices that he keeps touching the wall each time he stops. And she's wondering, why is he doing this? And he goes, severe security footage. He pulls out a what's it called? Like a kind of cell phone item to show exactly all the screens, and you can just click one, and it has an alarm that notifies me whenever they notice motion. So he goes through, and well, they get to where Ida and Bakugo are. Bakugo's taking some precaution, and says, it's Ida. So what Bakugo did is that the entire room is essentially, because Deku has an advantage if there's rubble on the floor, because he can just wrap his bandages around there and throw it at you. But he can't do that if there's no rubble. So they've taken their precautions, and what's his name? Deku just breaks down the door. And it's like, oh, so here's where you are. And he comes in the room, and he throws his hands in the air. And Bakugo noticed this, and he yells, Ida. He yells to Ida, get down! They both get, Ida's a little bit confused, but he follows Bakugo's lead. They both get down, and what happens is, two shurikens literally fly over their heads and hit the floor. Ida's like, how were you able to see him? I didn't see them. I just was able to, I know this kid. He's like a brother to me. I know exactly what move, I know exactly what he was doing in that moment. He's like, okay, I was just testing you. Now the real fight begins. Deku says as he puts his goggles on. He pulls a string on the bandages to release them. And he goes, and Bakugo goes, fight's on. Bakugo notices that there's no Uraraka, but he doesn't mind it as much. So, Deku and Bakugo, Ida and Bakugo versus Deku. It's like, this is exactly the situation I wanted to happen. And Deku's not stupid enough to come here alone. So what is he plotting? This is all he's thinking in his head. And Ida's hearing this because he's saying it. He's like whispering it while they're battling. So Bakugo's sending a couple explosions, but Deku knows Bakugo's patterns. Like, he's been training with him for 10 months. He's obviously gonna know Bakugo's patterns. So he's able to predict every shot Bakugo's about to shoot. And he's thinking, does this kid have the ability to predict the future or something? But then those suspicions quickly go away because whenever Ida attacks, he actually manages to land a couple blows. Oh, that was because the Bakugo and Ida are switching. So after 3 switches, Deku's just untouchable. He memorized Ida's patterns of attacks in 2 switches, which even Mr. Aizawa, who is there watching, is a little bit shocked because he wasn't expecting this. So when Bakugo, who also is using his feet for explosions, just for propulsion, threatens an explosion with his feet just to catch Deku off guard, because like he doesn't do that normally, so it caught Deku off guard. And Ida also does it, but in the opposite direction. But it doesn't matter. If he was able to dodge it, and even though he was a little bit surprised and disorientated, he just picks himself together and throws a scarf, grabbing their legs that are not in the air. He pulls it, and they both fall to the floor. Deku starts to smile. I'm enjoying this, he says, as he jumps back as Bakugo throws an explosion at him, and Ida gets up. And before Deku can hit the floor, Ida yells, "Reciprocal burst!" He explodes with speed and kicking Deku in the gut before he can hit the ground. Deku gets flying back, spitting out a little bit of blood. But he doesn't hit the floor. Well, he does, but his feet hit the floor, not his body. He was able to prevent himself from putting himself in a bad position before it hit the floor. Their battle just goes on, getting fiercer and fiercer with every passing minute. Because Bakugo warned Ida of Deku's pattern memorization trick. It's not that it's quirk, he's super good at it. And they go, and they battle, and they continue to battle, and eventually, Ida has to drop out for a while because he uses reciprocal bursts, and so it's just Bakugo versus Deku, which Deku was waiting for. Deku charges at Bakugo, and his bandages are still loose, so he's able to use them, but he punches Bakugo a couple of times, and then kicks him in the face. Bakugo just uses his feet to prevent him from falling to the ground, and he uses his other one to shoot an explosion at Deku. And then he shoots a couple more explosions with his hands to Deku, but it doesn't matter, they all missed because Deku's pattern memorization ability. And Bakugo's like, how is he doing this? I know he's gotten good with the pattern memorization trick, but he's doing it so incredibly. Oh wait, he knows me. That's why. Bakugo gets a punch in the face, in the gut, then in the chest, then in the heart, and then in his elbow, and then in his both shoulders. But then Deku just stopped attacking. Bakugo's a little bit confused because Deku had him in the ropes. Checkmate, Deku says as he pulls another strand, tightening all the bandages back into his shoulders. Bakugo's just like, you really are gonna leave yourself open? He goes to shoot an explosion, but nothing happens. Bakugo is completely in shock. I know you don't have a quirk, so how are you nullifying my powers? Pressure points. What? I noticed something while I was doing the studies on the human body. Huh? Your quirks, there are certain parts of your nervous system that controls your quirks. By me hitting certain parts in it, I can stop someone from using the quirk. I just have to know what type of quirk they have. Son of a... Bakugo says as Deku kicks him in the face, knocking Bakugo out. Even though you don't have a quirk, you're still a threat. Then he looks up... Deku says... Then he looks up... Ida. Ida's getting ready, but he's still not completely recovered from using his reciprocal burst. And he goes, there's no point. We already won. Ida's a little bit confused. You guys were so focused on me, you forgot about the main enemy. Ida has a confused look on his face. And then Ida notices he's not on the ground anymore. And his foot's attached to his foot's attached to a rope and also attached to the floor. Gotcha! That's all Ida hears when he turns around and sees Uraraka. Huh? What the? Where were you? Quite simple. Simple. I was hiding behind there, waiting for my moment to attack. You always stayed close to the bomb, even though you were fighting a long-range opponent. So I was never actually close enough to get... I was never actually close enough or saw an opportunity to take it, to take the bomb. But I do now. Uraraka says as she touches the bomb. They're all completely confused on when they had the time to actually do this. And even the guys that were watching this didn't even notice Uraraka. They were all wondering where she was. And this was Deku's idea. Listen. Then we have a flashback of Deku before they actually enter the room. I'm gonna kick down the door here, and I'm gonna distract them. But you're not gonna enter the room until we're in battle. You're gonna sneak in, and when you take your opportunity, you're gonna touch one of them, wrap a capture cloth around their foot, and then use this kunai and attach it to the ground. This will cause both of them, if they use their quirks while in that position, will actually put themselves in more trouble than in a good position. Well, this is my idea. Do you agree with it? And she says yes. Now, back to the present. Hero course wins, All Might says. Uraraka deactivates her quirk, cuts the ribbon, unties the capture ribbon, and they just go, back inside. There was nothing really to say about what they did. They were both both teams were extremely good. The battle lasted 14 minutes. A minute longer and it would have been ended. Deku says he could have came up with a plan that was much faster, but this one seemed the safest and had the least amount of risk. But taking hero work is much risk, so there's risk in being a hero. So next time I'll just go with one that's sort of safe and actually is pretty fast. He says as All Might's congratulating him. And that's going to be the end for this video. Yep, that's going to be the end.